You're now tuned in to our discussion segment, The Front Page. On the front page this morning, we'll be speaking with the Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, water and the environment, Matthew Samuda. Now, Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, says the National Water Commission, NWC, has stopped sending water quality reports to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, the KSAMC. He made the announcement while addressing the corporation's monthly meeting on Tuesday.
During my first 100-day listening tour, we engaged openly with stakeholders, including the National Water Commission, in frank discussion. At no time was any mention made of outstanding debt. However, since the Council passed a resolution on the matter of water quality, the NWC has not attended the Public Health and Sanitation Committee meetings and has since formally indicated that they will no longer be providing water quality results to the corporation.
Andrew Swaby, Kingston Mayor. In March this year, several PNP spokespersons asserted that water quality tests by the NWC showed elevated levels of fecal coliform at some testing sites. They urged residents to boil their water before drinking and called on Water Minister Matthew Samuda to address the issue with urgency. The NWC rejected the claim, saying the concerns were born out of a misinterpretation of the data presented in the water quality reports. According to the NWC, a single sample taken at a particular time on a given day does not equate to contaminated water being served to customers across a broad region of the corporate area. Joining us now, Minister with responsibility for water and climate change, Matthew Samuda. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide this morning. Minister Samuda, your preliminary conversations with the NWC, what did they express why they have suspended at this time sending reports to the KSAMC, water quality test reports to the KSAMC?
So, firstly, for completeness, your report and introduction didn't include the fact that the Ministry of Health, who has the legal responsibility and the technical capacity, did also rebut and rebuff the claims of the KSMC. They made it very clear that the process for a boil water advisory resides with them and there was no such need for same. The response of the NWC also made the point that regardless of where it is in the country, negative tests also prompt shutdowns of systems, and systems are then sterilized, meaning when there is a negative test, regardless of where it is, there is no distribution of water, which is the core of the, whether misunderstanding or political mischief, that led the KSMC to make the particular, or the councillors rather, at the KSMC to make particularly unfortunate and unfounded claims and make the call that they made. Now, let's have no illusion that such a call has both national and international impact. So their frightful lack of understanding of the process has affected the NWC's reputation, both locally and internationally, a reputation that is the envy of our Caribbean and Latin American neighbors. Our water is known globally to be amongst the best quality water at point of distribution, not just at point of collection and extraction. So I think that needs to be understood by the listeners. Now,
and just before you go, Minister, when you say that
I'm here for as long as you need.
Okay, when you say that the reputation has been damaged locally and internationally, a listener would ask, well, as evidenced by what? What has given you the confidence to conclude that?
The level of query that we have received both from the ministry and investors and business people and households tell you that there is reputational harm because there was a great concern nationally and internationally. Members of the diaspora calling investors that looking to build things in particular areas, calling to ask what is the true state of it. So there was reputational harm. That's impatient of debate. Uh-huh. Now, I believe it's born out of misunderstanding. I've attributed the perpetuation of their misunderstanding to political mischief. But let's have no illusion that there was a negative impact born out of the fact that they don't understand how the water systems operate, right? There is, as it relates to how
is
the
it
NWC interacts with the municipality and all municipalities generally, I think it's important also that your listeners understand that the legislative framework in which we operate does not allow for anything but transparency in terms of how the NWC reports to the public. But the mechanisms and the routes that the NWC is legally required to report to the public through do not include municipalities. It includes the OUR, it includes the Parliament through any of its committees if it's summoned to make presentations. It includes the Ministry of Health, but that's where it ends. It does not. It's a highly regulated entity. It's a utility. Reports can be summoned upon from the OUR at any moment. The Ministry of Health and Bureau of Standards have full unimpeded access to any of our facilities nationally, any of our over 750 facilities nationally. It's not an entity that operates in a shroud of secrecy. But there is need for the public to fully understand how our systems work, and we are committed to continuing to provide information to the public through the existing mechanisms. And though not legally required to do so, we intend to review the processes through the Integrated Water Resource Management Council, which is another avenue that the NWC is legally required to report through, where local government participates because they are members of the council. We intend to look at the reports to ensure that they're in a format where misinformation, whether because of mischief or because of misunderstanding, does not damage the national reputation of our water supply in the future.
I want you to be clear on something, Minister. You say that on the one hand you think it's political mischief, and on the other hand you say it's misinterpretation.
I believe misinterpretation led to the initial calls and excitement, but the perpetuation after explanations from the NWC and the Ministry of Health can only be taken as political mischief.
Hold on, we're going to take the break and come right back. We have the Minister in charge of water with us, Matthew Samuda.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning, having a conversation with the Minister with responsibility for water, climate change, the environment, Matthew Samuda, reacting to the announcement from the Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, yesterday that the National Water Commission, NWC, has stopped sending water quality reports to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, the KSAMC, a story we reported on a lot recently. And Minister Samuda is saying this morning he believes that first concern raised by the PNP representatives was a matter of misinterpretation of the water quality test data from the NWC, but believes the continuous presentation or announcements or press releases on the matter may have been politically motivated. He's saying to us this morning that in relation to that matter, that it has caused some reputational damage to the National Water Commission. You had investors and other persons, stakeholders, reaching out to find out what is wrong with our water in the corporate area when the NWC as well as the Ministry of Health was saying that our water is quite fine. Minister, welcome back to the program.
Yes, I'm here.
Now, is it the matter of this reputational damage and what you were hearing from investors and other stakeholders? Was this part of what informed the NWC to suspend sending those reports to the KSAMC at this time?
Yes, that's their approach that they have taken, but it is a part of a broader approach, as I've said, to review reports and to make sure that the public has all the data that it needs published on the Commission's website, on the Ministry's website, and that reports that go to any entity are in a manner or are presented in a manner that doesn't lead to such misunderstanding in the future. Now, these reports, because of all of the discourse around this, will have downtime as they go forward. Will have downtime for systems when there are maintenance challenges or sterilization needs, because the public needs to understand that, yes, if you do find a negative test in any part of the system, in any part of the country, systems are shut down, sterilized, and then restarted. That is sometimes the reason you have disruptions in the system, because we don't distribute compromised water, right? If it's found to be compromised, the systems are shut down, sterilized, and then reopened at the appropriate time. So the reports have to reflect data in a form where the public understands that this is how we operate. It will also know, as we go forward with municipalities, it will also include the financial standing of the municipalities so that there is no ambiguity about their financial standing with the Commission. Because I can't understand some of the discourse around the issue. It's impatient of debate that the Commission is owed significantly by many municipalities, including the KSMC.
And on the point of the debts, the mayor went there because he said it was only after the issue of the water quality was ventilated by the municipal corporation, some members there, that all of a sudden he said a certain radio station reported that the KSAMC had a $150 million debt to the NWC, and that he said a portion of the debt he inherited the debt. He didn't start the tab, running up the tab, and that he had tasked a team with investigating whether or not the claim from the NWC that the debt was 150 million, if it was indeed so, and then to move to a payment plan, suggesting perhaps that it's a case of tit for tat.
All members of the council, as I understand, never been a councillor myself, but all members of the council are able to attend finance committee meetings of the council. I find that lack of awareness of the debt after 14 months of him being in the mayor's chair quite surprising. Let's leave it at that. And I think he shouldn't, openly admit unknowing or lack of information as it relates to the debts of the corporation. But there is no debate around whether or not the corporation owes the NWC in excess of $150 million for particular facilities, but it also owes the Commission for standpipes and other such matters. This debt is way above $150 million. In fact, if you include standpipes, you'd be way over $200 million. So it's not a matter of debate. This is well known. It's not unique to the KSAMC. Let's be frank. This isn't an issue created by Mayor Swaby. However, let's have no illusion that he A, should be aware of it, and B, it is not up for debate as to which MDA, the Ministry, Department, and agency, has outstanding sums to the Commission.
I really
matter is well known, and they get their bills monthly, and they have an open line through their regional managers to have these conversations.
Are you aware of what steps the NWC has made towards collection?
We have written to every MDA, the Ministry, Department, and agency with their respective balances, and they do so on a periodic basis. Many have entered payment arrangements to deal with these sorts.
Including the KSAMC?
No, I can't speak to the arrangements that
Understood.
KSAMC would have entered or not entered with the Commission. What I can say is in my reports, I'm very clear on what the debts owed to the NWC and what NWC's debts are to external parties as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know that someone can say there. I find it quite surprising that someone who's the head of an organization for 14 such months could be unaware of a debt of that size.
Yeah, just to clarify some issues with regarding the water. I went to the debt because you brought it up, but still on the water. Those international investors who you say called with concern about the water quality, given what they had been reading in the press, are you satisfied that they have the impression that the water is safe?
Yes, and we haven't lost any of our international customers either, because persons should also remember that ships, airplanes, other such customers come into our space both for tourism and for logistics exercises and refuel and load water and food supplies, etc. and go. So we haven't lost any customers, but it did absorb quite a bit of bureaucratic bandwidth to both explain to the public and indeed to our stakeholders, local and international, what the true position was. And on the back of that misinformation, when we have a critical mission to expand the utility footprint of the NWC in line with our water policy of achieving full distribution and full utility coverage by 2030. We were distracted for the better part of the last 6 weeks responding to misunderstanding, mischief, and quite frankly, some nonsense.
When the Kingston mayor says that NWC personnel have not attended some meetings that they used to attend as a matter of course, almost, well, he didn't say protest, but I'm interpreting it almost in protest at the questions being asked by the KSAMC about the water issue. Are you aware of if and when the NWC personnel will return to those meetings?
No, I'm not aware, nor do I follow up their attendance to council meetings. But I think as a matter of course, I would encourage them to resume attending same, despite there being no legal requirement for that. So also, when there is misinformation and misunderstanding, we're able to nip it in the bud a lot earlier.
Yeah, and where the reports are concerned, you stressed that the matter is under review. We would appreciate a timeline as to when you expect the review to be completed. And if it is, I want you to be clear, is it that you are reviewing with the mission, with the intention of resuming sharing the reports, or you are reviewing and you're not necessarily minded to resume, but the review is necessary nonetheless? I wanted to clarify that.
The review is necessary, and I'm minded to publish online for all stakeholders, including the parish council, to be able to absorb, review, and comment on same, but not necessarily tying it to one particular group. It will be a public report that any member of the media, any member of academia, any member of any council will be able to download. But that report has to be reviewed by the IWRMC, which is a council of cabinet, being the Integrated Water Resource Management Council, and we'll have to get the support of all of the agencies which are part of that, which include the Met Service, Water Resources Authority, Ministry of Local Government, etc., to make sure that the report is widely accepted in terms of its format, and then made publicly available to all stakeholders.
It was that important clarification, Tony, because I thought the review was to resume the report sharing with the KSAMC, but the minister is saying, no, you're going to review, and perhaps out of the review, your thinking is, rather than send it to any municipal corporation, KSAMC or any other, you just put everything up on the website, so anybody who wants to access it, go there.
More than thinking, George, just publish it to all stakeholders.
That's what will happen out of the review.
That's what will happen. The thinking in terms of the format of the report needs to be accepted by all stakeholders. We have a quarterly meeting of the Water Resource Management Council. At the next meeting, I intend to address the format of those reports and then proceed to publishing.
And of course, in that review, making that information easier to read for everybody so that when it's posted on the website, there's the less likelihood of people not understanding the data.
Correct. And I think the reports also need to be structured to also let people know what volume of water is available in what area. Mm-hmm. That will inform investment decisions, development opportunities, otherwise, just so that even for a stakeholder such as the council, which has the remit of managing the development process in the municipality, that they're very clear on what is where, and if upgrades to a system are required, what the sort of cost for that upgrade to a system is. Very easy. But we won't be shy either about the financial data, because I think any calls about operations of any entity also must be juxtaposed against the financial situation that the entity faces because of its customers.
Will the ministry, will you in your capacity as minister, direct the NWC to publicize the list of MDAs and the amounts owing to the commission?
No, we don't publicize in that manner, because you have private and public entities. We do write to them directly. And where there is need for negotiations because something would have gone awry because of a big leak or something to that effect, we do enter negotiations in terms of settlement period, etc. I'm not minded to go that particular route, but I assure you, every MDA, public body, is fully aware of what they owe the Water Commission. Every private entity, household, or business gets their bills If they're not getting their bills, they can call our customer service department and we resolve that issue. But it's not a secret between the NWC and any of its customers, whether public or private, what is owed.
Hear you on that. All right. Thank you for your time this morning, Minister.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Tana. Thank you to your listeners.
Reputational damage to the NWC. People calling, asking about the quality of the water. Investors asking if is the water safe, because it's a serious thing.
Yeah, and you hear the minister saying they had to spend quite a lot of time doing that, fixing, communicating, letting people know that, listen, that is not the information. The water is safe to use. Telling of the processes again. When there is an issue, we shut down, we rectify, we fix before water is distributed again. And it was good of him to say that those investors, those international investors and other stakeholders are satisfied that the water is safe to use, so no damage done to those who might be looking at Jamaica as a prime place to come and spend their money.
I remain perplexed by how is it that someone could read a water quality report, see an adverse reading of a sample taken
On
at
a
a
particular
specific
day.
time on a specific day, and then move from that to say this is proof that the water served from this site to customers was and is contaminated. I break time here on Nationwide this morning.